You're back, ever going, where's DJ? Where he's at? Today is what
What's
we
up,
call
everybody?
win or losses Friday. Hey, totally. Watch out, watch out, cha, cha, cha. It kind of
Yes,
brings me back to the old school. Now it's kind of this will be
it looks like
showing my
Ninja.
age,
It
but
looks
it
like
brings me
Ninja
back to the
Turtles a
old
little bit.
school Batman. You remember
Yes,
that?
it kind of looks like Ninja Turtles too.
Yeah,
Oh, the colors a little bit.
Donatello, Michelangelo, but the old school Batman, where it's like when Batman would come in, he'd go pow, and then the whole thing would freeze, and then it'd be this big pow over time. Oh, geez, are we aging ourselves?
Oh god,
Okay,
everybody else is like, "Who's that?" No, I'm just kidding.
yeah,
What is
they're like
this?
Batman. You mean the Dark Knight?
Where did they see
So
that?
okay, no, this is before like yeah. Anyways, we want to get into that.
This is
That'll
the
just
really old
kill.
school one.
That'll kill everybody. So DJ, talk to us, brother. Let me hear it. Let me hear it. I want you to
Uh,
hit it home. I'm pumped. I'm excited today. Wins and losses. What are some of the wins? What are some of the losses for the week? For all y'all, while DJ's talking, I'm going to go into chat. I'm going to actually put in the link if anyone wants to jump in and talk about wins and losses, talk about what they've had this week and all that jazz. Let me just throw all this. Go ahead there, DJ.
all right, so so some wins, losses for me this week. So wins, definitely. So I think the biggest win loss for me this week is it's the same thing, and this is where I think where we can learn lessons in life is from this. And so this background, Ryan, you're going to be sad to hear this, but as of November 1st, this background is changing. Won't be here in this giant warehouse that I have. We're kind of going with the adventure we had for this flow resale thing we're doing. We're just kind of transitioning it a little bit, and so scaling it down, but doing more online. So you guys will still be able to find us online, still find our deals and everything. But yeah, it's we're gonna scale down this, go to a smaller warehouse, get it out in front of people, and just do it a little more that way. So it was
So
a
DJ,
win.
you gotta dive in deeper because
Yeah, so
our
win.
conversations over the week have revealed a ton of stuff. And the thing is, like, share with everybody the strategy that you're coming up with, what your test, because that's what we don't. Where'd you just disappear? Did your chair just fall through the floor? Is that why you're
Yeah,
changing
yeah, yeah.
warehouses?
Sorry,
Okay.
sorry, I'm getting
So
some light.
I mean, you have these strategies, you have these ideas, you have these things you're going to try, and this is the big thing, right? Is if this is not quite, yeah, it's working, but it's not really what we want. Let's test this, and this to make it happen. So share with everybody because I'm
Yeah,
excited to hear it again.
yeah, absolutely. So we started this to try to open up a large warehouse to have people come in to find. So we do liquidated goods is basically what we do. So we buy the pallet craze that everybody's doing, and just try to pass the discounts on to everybody else. And you just need a lot more manpower than we were kind of set up to do. And obviously, with the landscape of, I mean, everybody, I think any employee today will say, yeah, it's hard to find, unless they're family employees that you can boss around. It's hard to find people that are going to work. So,
And even those, all of a sudden, they got like a bum knee when you need
oh
help, or
yeah, yeah.
all right, I got a bum arm, or
Yeah.
something.
Oh, I forgot I had to do this. Whatever. And so because of that, yeah, we it's kind of how I do everything. Even with freight brokering, I'll even tie this into freight brokering. It's like landing that client that you think has a lot of potential. But then they just keep stringing you along, and it seems like nothing's getting easier, or nothing's clicking. Uh, Soon enough you got to cut the rope, you got to let loose. And so that's where this is kind of a win and a loss for us. The loss is obviously we're scaling down and gonna transition a little bit of what we're doing here. I'm actually It's more to focus more on the shipping and logistics. For me, at least, I was having to help a lot with this with my wife, because we just with Maggie. Hi, Maggie, if you're watching. But if and so we just decided this would be the smarter move. Uh, Let me kind of go back to what I'd like to do, which is this, and we'll we'll scale that down. So
DJ, one thing I got to commend you on is I love that the fact that you know the mental positioning, like when we look at failure, right? Um, it's all perspective, I believe, anyways. But I every time I think of this idea of failing, I think of Napoleon Hill. Now, for all of you, Think and Grow Rich, one of the greatest books. If you haven't read it, you must read it or at least get the
Yes.
audio. But I have pretty much everything. I became really good friends with Don Green, who's the CEO of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and I've pretty much got almost everything he's ever put out. Like, I mean, I'm talking audio and everything. And one of the audios, I can like vividly, it's life changing. And he was talking about when his son Blair was born, and he was actually born without ears. And Napoleon Hill said, and as crazy as this sounds, he says, no, I'm going to get him to hear again. And the doctor put his arm around Napoleon Hill. He says, listen here, Napoleon, sometimes in life, we just can't change the situation. He says, I don't believe that for a second. We can change every situation, even if it's as simple as not letting it destroy our spirit. And I think that one thing alone, like you're the pillar of the adoption of that. And the reason I say that is because, you know, people, the perception is business, right? I got this big warehouse, I'm doing good. I got this, I'm doing good. Um, how about we just focus on how do we deliver at a higher level, regardless of what we have, right?
Yes.
Regardless of what the outside perception is. So you are here, you have this beautiful warehouse, everything, you're able to position stuff, you got this, but you got this other strategy, and I'll let you talk about it, that you're saying, okay, I don't need this.
Yep.
So is it a fail from a massive business perspective? Well, maybe from the outside looking in, but I think you're going to be positioning yourself to serve at a much higher level, creating that life balance. And you know what, brother? In the end, that's
Yes,
a
sir.
bigger win than a friggin' warehouse.
Yes, exactly, and you're so right. And that's uh, again, guy. I listen. Thank you for giving me the credit for that. But it's if I didn't listen to the YouTube crap that I listen to every single day, every single morning, if I didn't say my daily affirmations every morning, if I didn't do those things and invest that time in myself to kind of center my mind, which is all over the place usually. Um, it wouldn't have helped me. I forget who said it. I've heard it multiple times after. I don't know who the originator is of it, but they said it's not failure until you quit, until you give up. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I'll never give up. I'll never give up, but I'm just going to learn. And what I'm realizing is the quicker I learn from the learning experiences or what other people would see as failures, just kind of is me putting those blocks together for me to hop across that bridge eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's the goal.
I love that because I mean, so, guys, you can trace that quote back to any number of
Oh
personal
yeah.
development and professional development people. But you know what? One thing I'm hearing, if I read between the lines, is you're pivoting.
Yeah, yeah,
And that
yeah.
pivot
Yes,
is,
sir.
sometimes in business we pivot or as you know, I'm getting ready to put and I'll release more information as we get closer. But my friends and colleagues and everyone that follows the show, I'm about to put out something astronomical into our industry, and I can't wait because it's going to change the
I
lives of so many
I
salespeople.
I'm so
Um,
excited.
oh, buddy, it's going to be awesome.
Uh,
But you know what? One thing that I'm seeing through the development of this tool for salespeople is oh my gosh, like that routine and that function of XYZ, like ABC always comes before XYZ, the education over like education or information over education, like all these things are coming to light, and I'm losing track of what I'm saying here because I'm so excited about it. I know it's crazy, right? But it's like we as individuals, we go through this process. And I remember many people talked about it, but Hal Elrod
not to
was
cut
the
you off, but
first person.
not to
Go,
cut you off. I got to hit you with this though. That is the
go.
key. Remember, guys, it's the process. It is a process. Life is a journey and a process. Uh, that's it. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You said
No,
it.
no, 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 no. That was
Process
that
is
was it
right.
was it was key. Hal Elrod was the first person that introduced to me the miracle morning. and really creating that boom in the morning where like your needle is just like redlining on hyper, and it's kind of like, you know,
Kind of
my
like us today,
DMs to
right?
you this morning
Yeah,
going, dude, I can't wait for this show. Like, I'm kind of like what, like a kid in a candy store. If I could do some cartoon things right now, I would. But so it's it's that kind of thing, and it's I think talking about our failures creates such a dynamic because as we work through in our head, and I'll give you a perfect example. I was having a conversation with a student this morning. He says, Dan, he says, like, it for me, it's like I go through these spells. And I said, okay, so tell me about it. And he says, like, I'll go through this high and then a real low and then a high and a low. And I said, okay, well, that's
That's
life.
that's all. Yeah.
And the trick for me is forward momentum.
Yes.
Like I could share with you, massive losses this week, massive losses. I have goals. I have strategy that I use to achieve the goals. Nothing's worked this week. It's like this week is one of those weeks where, and I'm sure you've all felt it,
Oh
where it's
yeah.
like you're running and all of a sudden you hit this wall and you're like, okay, that's not the
Yep.
way to go. And you turn and
Nope.
you run and you hit another wall. And then you run and you hit another wall. And I'm thinking, geez,
Yeah,
there's 360 degrees here. I need like 480 degrees to find my way out of this
yeah. Can I
wall,
go
but
up?
there's no
Can I go
such
up or
thing.
down? Is
Yeah.
that an option?
And I'm telling you, it's like, you know, like I lie in bed and it's like I'm up till 3:30, 4 o'clock because it's like my brain's going. I'm like, there's gotta be a way. And then it's funny because in the morning, I know, and I know it sounds crazy, and some people might think it's Pollyanna, but that's the way it's not going to work. So I got to try something else. And
Yeah.
I'll try that. Like before we did here, I just recorded like 7 fast videos because I'm like, okay, this is what's going to do it. And every time it's this is what's going to do it, I think that's the salesperson in me, like, oh my god, I just cracked the code because in
Yeah,
my
this
head,
is
like,
it. This
such
is
a great idea, yeah. And I'm like, this is such a great idea. I just cracked the code, and then it's like 2 days later, you're like, damn, it didn't
What was
work
it? What
again.
the
What do I
fuck
need to
was I
do? Yeah,
thinking?
I know. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Oh,
it's this.
that was my journey through this. I was thinking, what the? I'm trying to open basically the original idea of this is like I'm trying to open uh, again, I don't know Canada what y'all have up there, but like a small version of Walmart, which we call as
We got igloos and
so,
shit up
so
here,
like our
man. Like,
retailers are Marks. Marks is like they
yeah,
buy
Mark's Works Warehouse and all that.
a lot of the cheap, off-brand stuff, or
Oh, no, no,
Ollie's.
no. Okay, yeah.
Ollie's, same thing. Ollie's, and so yeah, I'm trying to start an Ollie's with me and my wife. What the fuck was I thinking? But then it was again, just figure it out.
You know what? You're changing the people around you, you're changing the world around you, brother. Like for all you salespeople out there watching, jump on, get on the link. Don't be shy. Jump on. I mean,
Yes, please.
I don't know if
We
you
don't
can just
hear the
do audio,
lazy. Who's
but jump on.
watching?
Share what you would perceive as a loss, and But here's the thing, and here's kind of the transition that I want to make for everyone, because I know we're saying jump on, and it's usually a lot. I mean, not very much, and we understand. Don't get us wrong, everybody. If you don't want to jump on, it's all good. But we
Yeah.
understand a lot of people are not. They just don't want to put it out there. It's but we all experience these losses, and those that continue to step forward are those that make all the difference in the world. Like sales, you lose 99% more than you win, right? But one of my conversations this morning, and my conversation was this morning, and I don't know if Bob's watching, but Bobby, if you're watching, jump on, because Bob's actually going to be joining us next Wednesday. Bob's in the heavy rigging, flatbed, B train, gooseneck industry.
Okay.
And we were having a conversation this morning, and man, he was dropping gold left, right, and center. And one thing he said was, "We're cut from this cloth." And the big thing in sales is not to play this chameleon act. And I stopped DJ and I went, whoa, like to
Yeah.
me, I sit there and then I remember another conversation I said. And I was explaining to, and then Nicole Glenn, if you're watching, jump on. I was explaining to Nicole Glenn from Candor Expedite. I said, yeah, like it's this struggle because in marketing, in sales, I see so many people identifying, if they have a programmer, they have a solution, and one person out of 100 completed it, that's all they talk about is the one person. And I think we talked about this last week, but and I remember asking my coach and saying, "Is that?" He goes, "Oh yeah, that's the way we do it in marketing." And I just don't agree with. So I'm in this mission to change the marketing space, which way bigger than I could ever
What
be.
are we thinking? No,
I know. Well, thank you. You know what I mean? But I look at that and I look at all the fails this week,
mm,
and I go back to my sales and all the fails. Like, you know, you're on the phone conversation and your mind says the next conversation is the close, and then it doesn't happen. And then the next conversation right after that conversation that didn't happen is I'm way too busy, screw you, I got no time for you. Then the next ten phone calls are voicemails. Then the 13th phone call now becomes that, get out of here, I'm not interested, I have my suppliers, I'm done. Like I continually think about how many times in sales I had to say to myself, I'm on the right path. That's not the right customer for me. That's not the, you know what I mean? Like as we dive into that world, um, I mean, we got to do whatever we can do to keep ourselves sane, for lack of a better word, right? Like,
I agree, and here's the thing too. I mean, again, it's just listening to the people that I listen to on YouTube, but we can't be afraid. Grant Cardone is probably between his books, Sell or Be Sold, the 10 times idea, his 10 times everything, and just his whole strategy of, like me or hate me, you know who he is. It's just being in people's face. And that was probably the biggest thing that really helped me kind of overcome all of the, I guess, internal struggles that we have as salespeople. Anybody who has an entrepreneurial spirit, anybody who is a salesperson, I mean, most people who are salespeople have an entre. That's the only reason we do this. We don't want to trade time for dollars. We're like, well, we're worth way more than that. Watch, we'll show you. And that's why we're in sales to begin with. But that's an entrepreneur as well. And I think the big difference, though, is we can't with the failures, with what other people say are failures, we can't take those as that. Those are just lessons. Learn from it, grow from it, and just try next. What's next? And that's my
mhm.
mentality. Okay, that didn't work. What's next? I'm always just, that didn't work. What's next? But the bigger thing is, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Tell everybody around you what you're doing. Tell everybody around you what you know. Put yourself on the hook. Make yourself have to do it, and then you'll see what you can really do. And that's kind of my mentality. I tell everybody. Most people don't want to hear what the fuck I'm doing, but I tell everybody, because then the more people that know, either gives it bigger kind of that weight on me. Like, okay, now you got to
Like
make
you're
it happen.
creating your own kind of accountability club.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Hmm.
exactly. And it's,
And do you find for you personally, um,
for me
when
personally, it drives me.
like when other people know about it and other people kind of, hey, almost like that internally, you're saying to yourself, if I don't do it, I've just told people about it now. If I don't do it, I'm going to look foolish, kind of thing.
Yes,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess
That's
I hope
and
I'm
that's
phrasing it properly, but
no, yeah, and you're absolutely right, and that's why I do it. And it could be on the smallest. This week, guys, next week, tell your boss, tell your managers, tell the broker sitting next to you, if you're in an office, I'm going to land this many accounts. I'm going to do this much in GP. Say it, say it to people. Now you're on the hook. Now do it, make it happen. And
say
that's,
it out loud.
yeah, say it. If
You
billboards
got to
work,
be
put me on a
hungry.
damn billboard. Hey, this is what I'll do now. I'm fucking crazy, but I'm going to try it. And yeah, just do it.
Interesting. I love that. I love that. And then, if you hit the roadblocks 360 degrees, find a 365th degree.
That's
Because
right.
that's where I'm at today, my friends. It's like try, 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 try. And it's funny because we always, of course, we hear, you know, um Edison and the light bulb and 10,000 tries. And,
Yeah, yeah,
a lot of people sit back and be like, yeah,
yeah.
I don't think most of us can relate to that. Right. And the reason I say that is only it's a personal kind of perspective. I had a hard time relating to it because ever since I was born, I flick a switch and we have light. Right. However, what I do relate to is a story I often tell on my master classes is about Sir James Dyson. So a lot of people don't understand the conception and the story of Dyson vacuums, right? So, and I think this from a new opportunity perspective and from the ability to create that new opportunity to get paid what you're worth from a sales perspective. I'd love to, if we could just take 5 minutes, and I know this is a win and losses session, but if I could just take 5 minutes and share this story, is it took Sir James Dyson 5,127 attempts to create the prototype Dyson vacuum that actually worked. Now, he set out his main mission when he started to create this concept was to sell the idea to the big vacuum people. And here's the really cool thing that kind of transitioned is he had no emotional attachment to this. He was like, I got an idea. I think we can make a better vacuum, a different vacuum that's going to then create the push to create so many more things. And what he did was through the development of that vacuum, he fell in love with the vacuum, right? And that's what ultimately made him create Dyson. Now, here's the thing, and think of this for a second, okay? So 5,127 attempts. He goes to all of the major manufacturers of vacuums. Every one of them turn him down. Main reason, who the hell wants to see their own dirt coming out of the carpet? Who wants to see that? They all turn him down. So that's when he decided, I'm going to create Dyson vacuums. And you look at that decision, failure, 5,127 times, failure. Going out, all the major manufacturers, his only mission was to sell this vacuum and just sit back and collect money or sell it. So now he goes out, 5,127 attempts. He goes out to market. Market tells him not a chance. Prospective market tells him not a chance. He creates Dyson vacuum. He's now created and ushered in a new revolution. Roomba vacuums, handheld vacuums, like all these. So we think of that from a failure perspective. We think of that from a sales perspective, right? Like every time he failed, it was another sales call that didn't go your way. However, his belief was we as individuals, human 1.0, there'll never be a human 2.0, human 1.0, we feel the house is cleaner when we see what's come out of the carpet. And that was his belief before we all believed it. But if you look at Swiffer commercials and they hold it up, right? This is what was on your floor. And you're like, oh, I feel so much cleaner just from using. Like you think of that psychology behind it and you think of what he was doing or what his mission was and what he originally intended to start out to do and what happened now. So you think if he would have just sold it compared to where he is now, don't get me wrong. I mean, there is trials, tribulations, left, right, and center by running a business. But he's changed the world of fans. Like you think about this for a second, right? And just and I think it's more of like our generation kind of, or not even our generation, like a today story than Edison and the light bulb. Do you know what I mean? Because I think we just, I don't know about all y'all, but most of the shit I use, I take for granted. Complete transparency, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
a lot, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No,
and that's my 2 cents. That's my story, brother.
I
Thanks, taking care.
agree. I like your story. Put up who I'm guessing that's Ryan, but who's he talking about? Is he talking about it? Is that his?
Okay, so this is where him and I differ. I cannot relate. I wish I could be that way. I'm too worried about it all and what everyone else thinks. He's never considered anything a loss, completely admirable and inspiring. So I'm not sure who that is, but the fact is here is it is like, so loss is a perspective. And I don't want to say this with a without empathy for what you're going through because you can't relate, right? But it's kind of like well, perfect example. Okay, if you're right now, if your perspective and here's the thing is if we drill down to the nucleus of our beliefs, it's all perspective. Change the way you look at something, the thing you look at will change, right? Wayne Dyer said that massively decades ago. if we look at just, and I don't want to get into an argument about this live, but if we look at just vaccines, some people's
Yeah.
perspective is no, there's stuff in there that can harm me, and other people's perspectives are, hey, if it's good enough for the FDA or good enough for the Canadian Medical Association, it's good enough for me. It's a perspective. And, I would say to whomever you are, you know,
The,
I
the,
would say if you're feeling like it's a loss, um, I've always done this, and it's helped me a lot, and hopefully it'll help you. On every phone call that I feel is a loss, I try to learn something. So, for example, if I'm on the phone with a prospect he says, I'm not even close to interested. Um, and typically at that point, as a sales rep, you'd say, okay, thank you, have a great day. And we kind of curl back into our shell and we disappear. I tried to step up and say, really, Mr. Prospect, you know what? I'm an avid learner. Can you please share with me what makes your incumbent, your present supplier so good? You're not even willing to hear what I have to say. Now, what you will,
repeat that one more time, because guys, if
so,
you don't record this and just if you everybody looking for
oh, look at,
yeah, yeah, I
now,
see.
is that your wife or my wife?
I don't know. I think it's mine, but I don't know.
Okay. So here's, I'll say it again. Mr. Prospect. Now, this is in the logistics space, okay? Mr. and Mrs. Prospect. That is amazing. So again, affirm the decision. I'm an avid learner. Context, who you are, what you look for. I'm like, please give me a little piece of nugget that I can get better with on my next call, whatever, whatever kind of you want to add that's you in there.
Yeah.
What does your incumbent, what does your supplier do so well that you're not even willing to hear a thing I have to say? Now, I'll tell you one thing. There's like a couple of different roads this can go. And this is where that perspective might change for you. Number one, you know what? I've gotten 15 calls today from salespeople just like you. Like, I've gotten so many calls, I can't do my job. Not your fault. Like, you as a salesperson, you're doing your job,
That's your
which
job.
is outbound calls, prospecting. They're just pissed off and frustrated because that you just happen to be the 16th person. So that is nothing on you as an individual. Again, perspective, nothing on me as an individual. But until I understand what their world is about, I will
Mm.
never understand that, because we immediately as humans just take it as, I suck, or I can't do this, or whatever.
Yeah.
But we don't
But
understand
we
the
don't.
context of what they're living.
Yes, exactly, exactly. We don't know, and just by asking that question, that's the thing, guys. Don't be afraid to ask. The worst thing that happens is because I don't like you. Fuck you. Click. They hung up or something. Okay, well, even better. Great. No, don't call them anymore. That's what you want. But again, if you don't ask the question, like Dan, and he's given that so much, and everybody who looks for a call script or the thing to say or the right thing to say, everybody who's booting you off, find out why. Now, if you constantly are getting, well, you're the 15th. Well, either call earlier or um, or figure out what you can do to pull that bullet out of their gun. No more, well, you're the 15th person. Well, I know I'm the 38th, I'm the 3000th person that called you today, but, and now they're like, oh, I can't even say that. So now what? But that's where ask the questions. Gotta ask the questions. But yeah, yes, I love your approach to that, and that's one of the reasons that sparks me to want to get back into this so much. Some of the
But
approach
but
that you
here's the
have.
thing. So DJ, here's the thing is, every part of our sales sequence, every part of our prospecting, every part of our business, if we stop and critically think, and Randy Gage taught me this years ago. He says, Dan, people don't critically think. And I don't mean to put anyone down. That's not what I'm talking about, but we don't. We just immediately, it's like, oh man, and it's like a shattering. Instead of stopping and saying, hold on, what question? And I know, this isn't a training day, but I think it's important that we talk about it, because it's part of failure and wins.
Exactly.
Is
Yeah.
what part of this conversation might I be missing? Right? What, like, we send an email out. We say we don't get a reply. You know what? Like, I was all over this. Okay, do we know anything that's happening? Like when you make an outbound call or when you send an outbound email, do you know if all of a sudden 3 people on the dock didn't show up? And this logistics
Yeah.
manager, as much as at the beginning of the day, like how many times during the day does our day change, right? At the beginning of the day, this is what it was. And it's all set out. And then something happens and you have to reevaluate your priorities. Like as we're on this call right now, I had a scheduled interview coming up. As we're on the call, in the corner of my eye, I see a text come in saying, hey, listen, I've got a major capacity issue. We need to push it. That's a professional saying, okay, what's my priority evaluation here?
Mm-hmm.
And here's the reality of that situation in the logistics and transportation world. Sometimes bringing in a new supplier turns high priority, turns back priority, back burner. And sometimes we get caught in the mix. Again, nothing we've done, nothing personal to us, it's business.
Yeah.
But it takes, for me anyways, it took a decade to get this mentality, and still to this day,
Yeah.
some days I sit back and I go, oh, like it just, you want to just, you just want to blow up because it's like,
Yes.
do you not understand what I can do for you? Do you not understand that this is not a, you know, fly by night thing? This is the rest of my life. This is my career. Every day I wake up and I say, how can I get better? And how can I do more, be more, and achieve more for my customers? How can I make them look at, and you're on the phone and you're being treated like a commodity. And for me, that was, I mean, I don't know how many times I can remember vividly this one time. My executive VP walks in my office and I'm just hanging up on a phone call. And I hang up the call and I look at him and he goes, Dan, I'm in the middle of a pretty serious conversation. He goes, and your eyes glazed over in the middle of the conversation. And I stopped. I said, Mark, give me 1 second. I picked the phone back up and I called back the prospect. And he goes, and I listened to you. And your first thing is, you know what, Mr. Prospect? I know you just told me no, but I apologize. I obviously didn't do my job properly because you would not have told me no if you give me a second to fully share with you how I can make your life better, how I can make everything you do better, how I can help you pretty much, for lack of a better term, put your feet up on your desk and not worry about a thing. And he goes, and Dan, I just kind of stood there and went, holy crap, like that's somebody that cares, truly cares about what they can really do.
Mm-hmm.
And, call it the used car salesman. I don't know what it is, DJ, but to me, it's like, you know, we're battling all of the issues, other, I'm going to say non-professional. And for all of you out there, non-professional sales reps that completely screw up our industry, and Bob this morning called it again the chameleon, right? Talk a great game, in it for commission,
Yep.
not for long-term client goal attainment. I know that's wordy. I'm still trying to figure out a pretty cool word for it, but it's reality, right? Long-term client
It
goal attainment.
is. Yeah.
Your long-term commitment with Flores Sales is to help your clients get things faster in a more convenient, easier way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, and
Right?
save some money. Yeah.
And
It's
save some money. But I mean, even the saving money will become irrelevant
of course. Yeah.
once your customers get things in an easier way. I mean, listen, we don't have to look any further than Amazon for the
Yeah.
explosion of how do we create ease for the customer. Like
Yeah.
Amazon, I forget what the number was. I think it's like $48 billion or something crazy in Prime subscription. So like, well, okay, the 48 billion, we're going to spend 22 billion to get you stuff in the next 12 hours. That's going to create 85 billion in Amazon Prime memberships next year. So they're going to have to
Yeah.
spend 50 billion. Who gives a shit? It's
Yeah.
ease. And I mean, for everybody, and whether you like Amazon or not, again, not an
Yeah.
Amazon
Yeah.
conversation
Yeah.
because I know that could drive a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
people crazy.
Yes,
But
it could.
I know, but I could say for myself, I remember sitting here December 2020, and it's the most vivid memory I have of it. Um, and all of a sudden I realized, like, holy crap, I have tomorrow, I have, sorry, 2 days from now, I have my first conference that I was putting on. And there was all sorts of problems because of COVID, and I'm dealing with so much. I said, I live in a little smaller town outside of Toronto. So like to get to a Staples, a business depot is like 25 minutes there, 25 minutes back. I'm like, I don't have an hour. I literally don't have an hour. Like I finish work, I have family to, I'm like, how can I do this? I literally in like 3 minutes on an app, I ordered memory cards for all of my cameras. I'm a Prime member. The next morning at 9 a.m., it was on my doorstep. Like you
Can't
talk
beat that.
convenience.
Can't beat that.
That's how can you beat that? I didn't have to go anywhere. I was
That,
full
that's why
productivity.
everybody's just trying to compete. I mean, because you can't beat it. Walmart's
You
trying to
can't
do the
beat it.
same. Everybody's
But
trying to do the same. But
what
it's
makes you different,
but it
right?
does
Like
so well, and it's booming because again, in the end, the value it has is it has more value, whether that's why they're doing it or not. It has more value to the customer that's using it than that 50 billion or whatever crazy numbers you're talking. I mean, in the end, yes, everybody's going to say, well, that's why they're making so much money, but they didn't start that way.
yeah,
They
and I
had,
think it was million, not billion. I think
they
I was
had
off
the,
by there.
but they had the,
That was the
they,
salesman talking.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I caught a catfish. This, no.
Brother, that fish was ginormous. You know what I'm saying? And it was one LTL shipment. It was ginormal. You should have seen it, man. It was half a pallet from
Oh,
Montreal to Toronto. You know what I mean? But yeah,
God.
you know.
I wish I would have taken a picture. Sorry.
Yeah.
You have to
Did you
believe the
take a
story.
picture? Nah, I threw it back before somebody could
I don't
grab
have
the
my
camera.
phone.
But you should have seen it. Like it strained my shoulder pulling this bad boy out of the water. You know what I
Oh God, this was a fun show. Even,
mean?
this was
Yes.
fun. This
So
was
you got to close us out with a quote today, and something. Well, actually, before we do that, can we just check back in
yeah.
um, to that Facebook user? I don't know if it's Maggie or Christine or who it is, but because I was looking on mine, I guess they might be on 101, which I actually should check. So did we answer the question? Did we help you at all? Were those strategies DJ and I laid out helpful in any
Hope,
which way, shape, or form?
hopefully.
Let us know.
It's my wife. uh,
Okay.
I think she just put me on blast for that. So I think we're good. She,
Okay.
it's a
Good. All right.
that's going to be a constant battle, but this should help. Hopefully, somebody. If it doesn't,
Thank you.
uh,
They always are. Thank you. That's the goal of this show, Maggie, is to help, and
that's right.
appreciate it
That's right.
very
But
much.
so you talked about the Dyson, and so my whole I watch it religiously. I probably watched it too much, and I will say so everybody doesn't think I'm bad. I do agree at the end what Ray Kroc does is bad. Okay, but the movie The Founder about Ray
Mhm.
Kroc, that's is a 52-year-old milkshake salesperson. Come on, if
You know,
he
the
could do
interesting thing about that is
what
how
he
many
did,
people think before that movie, how many people thought McDonald's was a franchise instead of a real estate
right? Yeah.
company? Like,
Oh
like
yeah.
think about that for a
No
second.
clue. Nobody
I
has
had
any.
no clue.
Yeah, I had no
No
clue.
clue.
I had no
No
clue.
clue.
Yeah, me neither. But again, Jeffrey Dickerson said, "Talk with you soon, Dan. Busy checking in. You're finishing up."
Yeah, Jeffrey. So Jeffrey's, yeah, Jeffrey. I'm
Hey,
looking forward to it, brother. We got what? We got a 3 o'clock. It's
nice,
gonna be awesome, brother.
nice.
Thanks, Jeff.
But so my quote is Ray Kroc's. It's actually my key to success in my BNI networking. It's kind of what I live by. And it's the quote that Ray Kroc gives at the end of the movie. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent won't. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. I know a lot of those. Genius won't. Unrewarded genius is practically a cliche. Book smart. Education won't. The world is full of educated fools. Persistence, determination alone are all powerful. That's it, guys. Persistence, determination. The wins and losses, let the losses just lead you to the next win.